If you're like me, I bet you've attended many performances where those musicians played almost perfectly, fantastically, yet something throughout that whole event felt off. I know I've been a part of it as a performer as well. The notes were flawless, the rhythms exact, but at the end of the night, there was nothing really to hold on to. No spark, no connection, no moment that really stayed with you. Hi, I'm Jeff Price, and I'd like to welcome you to Intentional Musicianship. And today we're exploring a question that's critical for every performer, and that is, what is good enough? Is technical perfection all it takes to make a performer great? Or is it something deeper that we should be striving for? Now, I'm asking the question that because over the past few months, I've seen music making at every level. Whether it be the local community band, community orchestra, school ensembles, to professional orchestras and professional wind ensembles. And here's what I've learned. Every group, no matter its level, has the potential to exceed and impact their audience in an amazing way. But the success that sometimes we strive for doesn't just come from our technical precision. It comes from connection. A community group might shine because they know their audience and they design their programs that resonate with them. That high school or a college ensemble might stand out because they're able to display this sense of energy and sense of discovery as they're learning the joy of performing on stage. Even those professional ensembles, for all their expertise, they really have to work to connect emotionally with their audience to make that performance not just technical, but unforgettable. At every level, that secret ingredient, it just seems to come down to that communication. And so today, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about what it takes to move beyond good enough and create performances that leave audiences asking for more. So I've divided this podcast into a few main points or sections. And so the first of our 3 points is just trying to get us to maybe redefine what good enough is. Because too often as we're going through music school and we're being taught, we define good enough as meeting an exact technical standard. That means we're hitting this particular right note with this accuracy. We're staying in tune in this particular way. We're perfect in this rhythm. And there's some merit to that. But here's the funny thing. We know that there's always a musician that's a little bit better, can do a little bit more, can capture the moment a little bit better than us in our playing. Because that's just life. I mean, if you think of how many billion human beings there are, and we think about hours of the day and practice and life, sometimes life happens and gets in the way, and maybe we're just not quite our best. But audiences don't hear every nuance or notice every small mistake that musicians make, especially in a live performance. There is a distinct difference from a recording than a live performance. They're night and day. And what we're really looking for in that live performance are moments. We want moments of joy, reflection. We need things that surprise us. We need things that leave a lasting impression. So recently, I went to the second performance of our local community band. I talked about the first performance in an episode on culture. And I want to let you know, they were as good as the United States Marine Band that I saw, the Pittsburgh Symphony I saw, the West Virginia Symphony I saw, all the West Virginia University groups that I've seen recently. And the interesting thing is they weren't perfect, but they had an energy. They had a joy, and they connected with the audience. and they made that performance unforgettable. It's interesting when you compare it to that technical, flawless, professional performance. They still held their own. They punched their weight, so to speak. And as an audience member, I left just as happy. Well, I went to the United States Marine Band, one of the best professional wind ensembles in the United States. And right before that, I went to the Pittsburgh Symphony, one of the best orchestras in the United States. They also did really well. The Pittsburgh Symphony, when they came into our area, seemed to really hit on the technical execution and the professional side. They really were representatives of the art. And they sort of used that as their message and the foundation of what they did. But they had still an excellent programming, great storyboard, great soloists. But they sort of led with the technical performance side. So, in that balance side, in this case, if they had not played as professionally, I don't know, perhaps they might have left me a little cold. But they were able together with that communication between each one on this stage to connect with each other, which then connected with us. Amazing, amazing moments. And that Marine Band professional wind ensemble, well, they're as good or better than this professional orchestra, just a different genre. And because of who they represented as representing the United States military, the Marine Corps, they had an expectation of who they represented as us as Americans and within that Marine Corps, us veterans. And so within that, they told their story in a different way. So by the end, when they played something simple like the Armed Forces Medley, where they had many of us United States military veterans stand up and they could salute us for our service and that patriotic nature of being an American. Well, I tell you what, as an old veteran that doesn't stand up and doesn't do a lot of those kind of things very often. Well, it's been 7 years since I've had a chance to stand up in that way. And I tell you what, it was a great experience and it was really cool. So even within those three different groups, the takeaway is that technical perfection is important. It can be part of the foundation of who you are. And, depending on the group, it might really be really important to you. But the true impact comes from creating this emotional and communicative connection. And so when we're looking at strategies to create these moments, we need to figure out how to engage that audience directly. And we had a couple episodes on communication and customer service, but we really got to figure out how we can tell stories, not only with our programming, but with our talking and with our program notes. And we can share the story and the behind the pieces, especially if we're a high school group. I'm thinking of asking Johnny and Billy to be your narrators and saying, when we got this piece, it was really difficult. And here were our challenges. And this is what we've had to overcome. And we accepted the challenge. And I think you're going to really like it because through this, we grew as a group. And I think we have something special for you. And you can really catch the attention and draw the attention of your audience into what's special about what's being done. And we can think of that story being created with the community band making those selections relevant to the community in that local area. The Marine Band representing the United States everywhere where they go, representing every Marine that's in uniform. And even the Pittsburgh Symphony, even with their technical expertise, they wanted to be that keeper of the art. And we want to make sure that we can show joy. And that means we break the fourth wall. We allow ourselves to be physical. We make eye contact. We smile. We're human beings. It should be a great experience to be on stage. And so we're allowed to speak directly to our audiences. We need to make our folks that come feel included. And we need to break that wall. I like to call it the proscenium, that special place on stage where they had the arch, this proscenium arch, where the sound would then go from that location to the audience. And we need to make sure we plan and rehearse these transitions and the movements that we have and eliminate dead time and produce the show so that everything has a purpose and a place. And you're saying, Jeff, that's a lot of work. Well, performing's hard, and performing takes a lot of work. And I think putting in that effort in a storyboard and a technical rehearsal allows you to show to your audience that you care about them and that you've designed something for them. And so that music starts before that first note is played because of the impression, the atmosphere that goes on, and it develops long after one piece ends and the next one begins. And as the concert ends, everything that happens during the event sets a tone and creates a moment and a memory. Now, I'd like to say this, the most I can be as controversial is trying to figure out how within our genre, within our groups, within our ensembles, to avoid the trap of having a self-centered performance. Now, I get it. We're on center stage. People are coming to our events, to our performances. But there is a difference in having the show all about yourself, which there oftentimes are moments within a show where you might have to highlight something or showcase someone or really let the audience know why we're doing something. But it's, if we come across in a way that we call it the self-licking ice cream cone. Now, here's the analogy. And I was talking to my friend Eric, who produces the podcast the other day. And I said, many years ago, Dwayne Milburn, who was an Army music officer at the time, and we were in the Middle East, and we were talking about meetings that he had to attend. And he was making the link to musicians and how we perform. And I love this analogy, so hopefully I'm not misstating something, but sometimes in a meeting, let's say there's 10 people, could be 13, could be 16, and you have the boss at the end of the table listening to each person describe their section and how they're doing in their industry, at their business. And we go around the table and person one says, during this quarter, we did amazing things. We're the best at this. We keep improving. We're great. We're wonderful. Second person, well, we're in section B. And guess what? We're the best. We're the greatest. Aren't we wonderful? I think we keep improving. We have no issues. We're amazing. And this continues all the way down. Let's say the 10 people at the 10th table, they say, look, we're in section 10 and we're just amazing. We're wonderful. We have no issues. We're amazing. We're wonderful. Look at us. And we get to the CEO, and the CEO is sort of looking at everybody. And he's like going, well, looks like we don't even need to have these meetings. Looks like things are just going on their own. Sorry I bothered you. See you guys later. I mean, there was no reason for the meeting. And so in this self-licking ice cream cone analogy, if we're just playing things to play them because we're wonderful and there's no connection, what's the point? And so sometimes we perform as if we're saying, aren't we amazing? Aren't we wonderful? But there's a difference between us saying it because, hey, self-affirmation, you got to be about it. We know we've practiced. We've been in that rehearsal. We've trained. We've perfected our class. We know we're good. Yeah, we've met the standard. But after we know that, we don't have to make us over important for what we're doing. That's what the audience is for. And we have to invite the audience to participate and connect with us. And they're the ones that are going to affirm our performance and the program. And it's interesting as you're looking at this, sometimes you just sort of have to ask yourself, is this program for us or is it for the audience? Now I get it. Sometimes great art can do both, but your mindset and how you present things requires some intentionality and how you focus your audience and keep them engaged. And so as we close up, I just wanted to say that at the end of the day, and you're asking yourself, what is good enough? Just a reminder, you are good enough. You've been in that practice room. You've taken that extra time and that care. You've been to the storyboard. You've had a lot of rough times taking something from point A to point B, and now you're taking the risk of presenting it to an audience. And guess what? It's worthy. It's worthwhile. It is something that you should treasure as part of your journey as a human being, as a musician. But you don't have to worry about competing with that next group. What you're really doing is sharing and giving of your craft, of your art, because being good enough is not about executing every note flawlessly. This excellence really does lie in the gift that you're sharing, this communication, this shared moment that resonates with your audience long after the applause fades. So my challenge for you is next time you perform, ask yourself, how can I create moments of joy, reflection, discovery, all the gambit of emotions that my audience will carry with them, things that will allow me to be set apart from the other musicians. You're being basically a truly authentic musician. Why you're special is because you have something unique to offer, and you're now giving that to your audience. And that giving, that service, that presentation, all that work, that's the gift. And that's what it means to be truly good enough. You're willing to share and give to your audience. I'd like to thank each of you for joining us on Intentional Musicianship. And I'm curious to see how this episode resonated with you, what your thoughts are, maybe some of your pain points and struggles. Love to hear your thoughts. You can always reach out to us at intentionalmusicianship.com. Connect with us on social media. Every day we grow on Instagram, and of course that connects to the Facebook. And you can always reach out to us and book a free consultative call. And that's a way that we can just keep exploring how we can come together to help create unforgettable moments on stage for our audiences. See you next time.